Hey guys, welcome. It's Wednesday afternoon. It's about 1:30. Starting on time. One of the rare times that I've done anything on time in my life. I'm pretty happy about it. It's a pretty cold Wednesday. We're getting into some if you live in Northeast Ohio, just don't look at the 10-day forecast. It's not pretty. Just wear lots of layers. Wear warm stuff, hats, gloves, scarves. It's gonna get really cold. We have another winter weather advisory today. My driveway is almost 100% ice. It's a literal just sheet of ice. You could play hockey out there if you really wanted to. I can't skate, so I probably won't, but you can if you want to. Go to my driveway and play hockey. Anyway, yeah, it's really cold. We're getting into the doldrums. The Super Bowl's over, right? Which means we're kind of into that. Like for me, it's like the sports purgatory time of the year. Um, you know, NBA regular season basketball is what it is. I mean, we're past the trade deadline, so there's some exciting there's some storylines there, I guess, to follow. Is my point. Um, there's all kinds of stuff going on, but not stuff that I'm super excited about watching, like the rest of the college basketball regular season. I love once March Madness gets going. Love that time of the year. That's fun. That leads you up into the NFL draft. Obviously, the NCAA tournament. Then you got opening day happening right there too. So that's pretty exciting. Oh, that's pretty close enough that I am actually going to start the 2025 MLB season preview today. I was going to go over that with Ben Bales, who abandoned me for an appointment. Can you believe it? Who takes care of their responsibilities when this is going on? Anyway, Ben, we miss you. Hope to have you back on the show next week. Yeah. So what's on the show today besides the preview? We're going to talk about the Super Bowl a little bit. First, welcome to the Sports Show with No Name. Happy Valentine's Day. Friday is Valentine's Day. So hopefully, if you have plans, you've got those in order already. You've got your Brazilian roses on the way into the country. I don't know. They're just cut a few days ago somewhere in Brazil, somewhere. I don't know. Is that where roses come from? The good ones? I have no idea. Anyway, hopefully you've got your plans settled for Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day. I know I've got my plans settled. So I'm looking forward to that. Again, though, welcome to the Sports Show with No Name. I don't know the name of the show, apparently. That's what happens when I'm by myself. I just want to start with headlines. We've got a couple of headlines and actually had some breaking news just off the show. Too recent of breaking news to even to make press time. So there's no graphic for the one bit of breaking news. And we'll get to that. But I want to talk about what happened last week. While we were on the show, Ohio State kind of started to round out their offensive staff a little bit. Promoting really from within. Brian Hartline and Keenan Bailey are now co-offensive coordinators. It's said that Hartline is going to have play calling duties, so he'll have the full play calling duties. He'll still work with the wide receivers, and I'm sure he'll still be an integral part of recruiting. He's been obviously, if you follow the Buckeyes at all, you know that Hartline is absolutely instrumental in building what they've got there now with all the wide receiver talent that they have. Emeka Egbuka, obviously Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate. I mean, the three main contributors from this year, but not just them. I mean, it's what's to come, what's already been there. Hartline has done an amazing job. He's earned this opportunity, I think. I know some people are concerned about his experience, calling plays. He's called some plays before a little bit with that, obviously with that program. I think he'll have a grasp on what they're trying to do offensively. I think Hartline will be just fine. Keenan Bailey will also continue. He was the tight ends coach. He'll continue to work with tight ends as well. Just a little bit of a shuffle and, double duty a little bit. And the breaking news, like I said, too recent to even make a graphic for. I couldn't even get a graphic up for it. The Buckeyes have also hired former Lions head coach Matt Patricia to be the defensive coordinator. He was a longtime defensive coordinator under Bill Belichick. Was a part of 2 Super Bowl winners there in New England. So yeah, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. It happens after a national title. I mean, sometimes your coaching staff, they get poached a little bit. I mean, people want to, they want to be a part of a winner, right? So when you identify someone who's capable of coming into an environment like Ohio State and completely turning around a defense, the way that Jim Knowles did, he's going to have suitors. And, he obviously elected to go with one of those suitors. So Knowles is out. Patricia's in. We'll see how it goes. Shockingly, you're going to be shocked. You're going to be shocked. Ohio State fans are already overreacting on social media, saying this hire is trash. It's garbage. Shocking overreaction from Ohio State fans who are not known to overreact in any way, so we're all shocked about that. Let's see what else. What else do I have for you? Oh, one more thing in headlines. I just wanted to get to, it was something I didn't get to talk about back in January. Bob Uecker passed away, and Bob Uecker is the voice of the Milwaukee Brewers. It's been so, for a long, long time. But he's more than that, from his portrayal of Harry Doyle in the Major League movies, especially the first movie. The first one's just an absolute all-time classic, one of my favorite movies of all time, sports or otherwise, just one of my favorite movies, period. To all the Miller Lite commercials, I don't know if you remember the Miller Lite commercials that he was in back in the day, just everything that he's been in between, like all the stuff that he's been a part of. The guy was an absolute delight. And, Euchre, he was always kind of a role model of mine. He's like probably one of the first guys that I saw that kind of brought like a little bit of that silly kind of nonsensical self-deprecating humor to everything that he did, but namely sports for me, because I growing up as a kid, I mean, my main focus was on sports. Firstly, playing them, but I also like to talk about them. I never really thought I would have any kind of a career talking about sports, but I think Bob Uecker is maybe one of the first guys that kind of made me go, "Hey, that looks like it could be fun." You know what I mean? Like, when did you ever see Bob Uecker not having a good time? So the Brewers, anyway, to get to my point, the Brewers have unveiled a patch that they'll wear to honor Uecker. He was 90 years old when he passed in January. I'm going to take a look at that right now. Thought that was a nice touch, man. I thought that, I don't know. I mean, what do you do with a patch? But I just thought that was a nice touch to honor Uecker. I mean, he clearly was the heart and soul of a lot of different projects that he was involved in. I mean, I have never personally heard anyone say anything bad about Bob Uecker at any time. So yeah, the sports world is definitely going to miss Bob Uecker. That was a sad one for me. Listen, the guy lived a great life, 90 years old, played in the major leagues, had all kinds of fun. I mean, was in movies, was in commercials. Like I said, got to do play-by-play for the Brewers for quite a long time. So he definitely lived a fantastic life. But yeah, Bob Uecker, he will be missed. So what else do we have to get to? We're going to talk about the Super Bowl because really wasn't so much of a Super Bowl, was it? I mean, the Eagles overwhelmed the Chiefs in almost every way possible. I mean, if you look at any combination of stats, any side of the ball, everything you look at, you can clearly see that the Chiefs were dominated in the game. I think the most impressive stat to me is the Eagles sacked Patrick Mahomes 6 times in that Super Bowl without a single blitz. I mean, they just he got home every time. I mean, he had nowhere to go. And it was like as soon as he had the ball in his hands, there were Eagles all over the backfield. He didn't even have time to look downfield. People have made a big deal about Travis Kelce not being a factor. No one was a factor in that game for the Chiefs. I mean, no one. They scored a couple touchdowns late. I think the Eagles kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit. But yeah, I mean, by the time the Chiefs even got around to scoring, it was 34-0 in the third quarter with just seconds left. The game was already decided. Final score of 40-22. The game never felt that close. By the way, I don't know if you saw everyone. People were really mad about the score bug, so I brought it back here. If you look down, where am I pointing? Down here. How have I not figured that out yet? Where to point on camera? That's wild. But yeah, I brought the score bug. So if you, I don't know, found the score bug to be as polarizing as many people did, if you loved it, there it is. If you hated it, sorry, there it is. I just thought that would be a funny thing to kind of bring back. I didn't really see a problem with it, but apparently a lot of people were very, very upset about that graphic design piece. So, I guess people can be upset about anything. Jalen Hurts played well. We said he would. He was 17-22, 221 yards, a couple of touchdowns, an interception. The pick obviously didn't hurt them at all. He also ran for 72 yards and a touchdown, nearly 300 yards from scrimmage in the Super Bowl. Was pretty good. I expected the Eagles to use the running game effectively. Saquon Barkley never really got going. I'm surprised to see that Hurts was the leading rusher, but not that surprised. I mean, Jalen Hurts is a great player. He was phenomenal. I mean, he was accurate all night. He was able to avoid pressure the way that Mahomes, couldn't quite do it. Again, the Eagles got home 6 times without a blitz. Just so impressive. But yeah, the story was the Eagles defense. Josh Sweat had 2.5 sacks. Milton Williams had 2. Again, just the way that they got home without, making a special case of it was wild. I mean, they just could kind of sit back in zone and I would say wait for Mahomes to throw, but he didn't even have time to do that most of the night. Rookie quarterback Cooper DeJean picked off the first pass of his career, actually, on his 22nd birthday. Sunday was his 22nd birthday. Returned that to the house for a touchdown. That made the score 17-0. And it kind of felt like, if you were watching, it kind of felt like that was like the turning point where it's like, okay, 10-0 is manageable. That's fine. Chiefs can come back from that all day. But when it was 17-0, I mean, if you were just watching the way the Eagles defense was, it felt like they had 15 guys on the field. It's 17-0 there. It felt like, honestly, the game was over already. And unfortunately, it was, and it wasn't much of a good game to watch. I mean, there were a few decent commercials. I'll save some of that to talk with Ben about next week when he's back on the show. There were a couple of decent ones that made me laugh a little bit. My kids were having some fun watching that too. But overall, the game really wasn't very entertaining. I admit I kind of drifted away a little bit. We were working on a project here in the home. We were painting a bathroom downstairs, and I wandered away a few times to kind of finish painting that bathroom because it just, wasn't a great game. At least the halftime show was good. I thought Kendrick Lamar absolutely delivered. Some folks didn't get it. You'll have that. We said before the game that halftime show would be very polarizing. It was. Whatever. I thought it was a good show. They did a great job. So yeah, that's the Super Bowl in a nutshell. I mean, what else is there? I guess we could look at, some of the stat predictions were close. I had predicted a couple of stat lines. I was way off on Saquon Barkley, but I was pretty close on Patrick Mahomes. If you look at the show from last week, I think I said he would be 21 of 30. Well, I don't know what I said, but I was really close. Here we go. Look, there he is. So let's just show this on the, where are we at here? Oh, I got to hide hold on. Look who dropped in, everybody. Ben Bales says, and I don't know why that's behind there, but he says, what's up? And it's behind our logo. So that's fantastic. Let's take that down. There's Ben Bales. He says, what's up? He's abandoned me in my time of need. I'm here talking to my ring lights and my monitors about sports. Can't even ask any questions. I can ask questions, but no one's here to answer them. It's very sad. Very, very sad. So we're going to cover that up. Bye, Ben. Just kidding, Benny. Good to see you, buddy. Hope all is going well with you. What else is there? I'm trying to keep my eye on to see if there's any more breaking news. There always seems to be breaking news during the show that I just missed. I'm like, oh, okay, we'll talk about that in 7 days, right? I don't want to do that. I want to hit that today. Yeah, Super Bowl, not so super. Chiefs, so much for the conspiracy theory. You know what? I just realized why Ben skipped out on the show. I just realized he must be out of tinfoil. We talked about him wearing the tinfoil hat this week. If, the Eagles pulled off the win, Ben was either embarrassed to wear the tinfoil or he ran out of tinfoil. I don't know what's going on. Maybe he's at the store getting more tinfoil right now. Maybe that's the appointment. I have no idea. But next week on the show, Ben Bales featuring his tinfoil hat. So look forward to that. Oh, anyway, what else can we do? It's going to be a really short show today. I'm going to try to get out of here pretty quickly because there's stuff to get into, but I want to draw out these baseball previews a little bit. I want to talk about baseball for a few weeks before the season actually starts. Don't want to, shoot the whole load right in one time. Like, just, hey, let's preview all of baseball season. So what I want to do today on the show is I want to start with the American League East. Because I want to know, it's hard to predict a 162 game season. It's really hard to predict baseball in general, right? I think there are a lot of teams around the league with a lot of question marks. I've been reading that, and we'll get to the NL East in a couple of weeks here, but I do want to mention, I feel like a lot of people just assume that the Braves are going to show up and compete. And a lot of people are picking the Braves to win that division. I'm a Braves fan. I've said it numerous times on the show. I'm concerned. I mean, I have concerns about, you've got major concerns about the health of two superstars and Ronald Acuna Jr. and Spencer Strider. That's an issue. You've got a pitcher right now, they have Reynaldo Lopez kind of penciled in as the number 2 starter there, or possibly the number 3 starter. He was the 5 starter last year. He had a great season. Don't get me wrong. He was fantastic from that 5 spot in the rotation, but history would kind of dictate that. I mean, you can expect a regression from Lopez. I don't think you're going to get quite the same numbers that you got from him. And again, Strider is a question mark. You're relying on a lot of youth. Spencer Schwellenbach is there. Again, that's, very youthful. Not a consistent performer in the major leagues yet. So you don't know exactly what you're going to get. But like I said, today we're going to start in the AL East. So Forget the Braves for now. As if I ever could, but you forget the Braves for now. Oh, what do I got? This is probably the toughest division, honestly, right? I think the Orioles and the Yankees are going to be they're going to be battling this out all season. I think it's going to be very close. It should come down to the wire, but I mean, listen. Some teams in the East, the Rays never go away, right? Despite the payroll or whatever they have on their roster, they're not even going to be playing in their home stadium. Don't expect the Rays to go away at all. They'll be in there. They'll hang in for a while. And even the Red Sox got better. The Blue Jays have they've compiled some young talent. Pitching is probably a little bit of a concern for the Blue Jays. They've got, a pretty good staff thrown together, but it's going to be obviously health concerns. I mean, for every team, health is the concern, right? When you're talking about your pitching staff, you got to have guys go out there and make 25 to 30 starts. Ideally, that's what you want from your starters. But yeah, I mean, let's just start with the team that I think will win the division, the AL East. I think it's going to be the Yankees. I think they hold off the Orioles. The Orioles, again, we know about the young talent, pretty decent pitching staff, but they're not quite where the Yankees are right now. I mean, it's Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Cody Bellinger. I mean, Jazz Chisholm was a big contributor for them last year, especially in the playoffs. He played really well. They're very solid, but it's the pitching staff. They added Max Fried from the Braves, which Fried has had some weird injury issues. I mean, nothing that's kept him out for any extended time over the past couple of years, but it's like 3 or 4 starts here, 4 or 5 starts there. He hasn't really been consistent. When he does get on the mound every 5 days, he's absolutely lights out. I don't expect that to change as long as he's healthy in New York. I think he'll pitch well. A lot's been said about the lights being too bright, for him in New York. I don't know. I mean, he's not a super big personality guy. He just sort of flies under the radar. Is it possible to do that in New York? Can you do that playing for the Yankees? I don't know. But we'll see. But yeah, with Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, I mean, they've got, Marcus Stroman is there battling for a 5th spot in that rotation. If you remember, I mean, Stroman, when he's on, Stroman's, I think, one of the best, fastball changeup pitchers in the league. I mean, he gets a lot of swings and misses when he's on, when his location's good. So they're in a pretty good spot. I think the Yankees win that division. I think the Orioles finish second. And we can kind of go through, I mean, it's, again, I mean, the young talent, Gunnar Henderson, Colton Cowser, I mean, Adley Rutschman, Jackson Holliday. I mean, the names seem to never stop. They've just got so much young talent, stockpiled there. But again, I think, and again, they're also sporting a former Braves pitcher. Charlie Morton signed there. Morton had some, he's in his 40s now, there were some concerns about longevity for him. Listen, I'm happy to see him somewhere. Obviously, he didn't get the offer that he wanted from the Braves. Wanted to go to Baltimore and pitch there. That's fine. I mean, that's his prerogative. I hope he pitches well. I hope he plays well. I hold no ill will toward guys who leave my team or any other team. That's what free agency was designed for. I mean, it's absolutely their right to use it. I say go ahead and do that. Yeah, as far as the rest of the division, I don't know. I mean, what do you think there? I guess it's Yankees, Orioles, probably Rays. They'll find a way to finish third in that division. They always seem to be in the mix, maybe even a wild card team. And then I think the Red Sox and Blue Jays, round or die, I think they're fighting to stay out of the basement. But I don't think there's going to be like a team that bottoms out in the AL East. I mean, there's not going to be a White Sox situation where somebody goes, what the White Sox were last year, they were awful. I don't think you'll see a team like that. I think you'll see, I mean, obviously a couple of teams are going to be under 500. That's the nature of baseball. But I don't think the Red Sox are going to be bad. I mean, I don't know. They've made some additions. I mean, they've got Garrett Crochet and Lucas Giolito on that pitching staff. Walker Buehler is there. If he's healthy, I mean, the Red Sox could actually be really scary pitching wise. And, offensively, I'm looking at, I mean, Trevor Story, Rafael Devers, Tristan Cotton, they're not bad. Vaughn Grissom, we'll see. He's a former Brave. We'll see if he catches on. I've been kind of, not closely, but I've been trying to keep an eye on his career to see how he develops. I'm just curious to see how he does there in Boston. To see if he takes a positive step or just a step to turn the corner a little bit. And I mean, he was really, really highly thought of when he was in Atlanta. I mean, he was like, a really highly thought of prospect. And I think they saw some things early on that, looked like maybe, I don't want to say they weren't fixable, but they were going to just, be a little bit of a hindrance for him in his career. And he seems to have not quite worked through some of that. Gets a long swing at times, very, very long swing. He's pretty good defensively. He sometimes can take days off defensively a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I've been watching him to see how he develops, and I think that's the way the AL East is going to end up, honestly. Yankees, Orioles, I'll say Rays, Red Sox, Blue Jays. I don't have a ton else for the show today. I wanted to, next week we'll do the AL Central. So Guardians fans, pay attention to that show if you want to see, what we think about Guardians, Twins, what Tigers at the top. I mean, the Tigers are, if they can produce the way they produced last year, the Tigers are a little scary in that division. No, I mean, I think they're a team to keep an eye on. The Twins are always a team that hangs around. The AL Central is interesting because it's maybe, I'd have to look at it, but it might be the lowest overall total payroll in baseball, and usually get some pretty competitive teams out of there, which is surprising. It's a positive surprise, right? I think that's good. Let's see what we got going on. Hold on. Oh, hold on. We've got another comment. Boy, I have to click too many times to get these. Here we go. Where am I here? Lisa Anselmo Bryan. I wonder if there's any relation there. That's weird that we have the same last name. She says, "Go Guards! Go Guards!" All right. So, go Guards. I know Lisa will be watching that show next week. She'll be paying attention to see where we pick the Guardians to finish. What else do we have for you? Let me see. I had some housekeeping stuff. Like I said, over the next few weeks, we'll kind of continue to get into Major League Baseball. We'll preview the 2025 season. We'll pick the order of finish for all of our divisions. When we're done, we'll try to pick our, I'm not going to pick every playoff team because it's hard to pick the wild cards, but we'll pick the division winners, and we'll loosely throw a few teams who I think could win the wild card, and then we'll try to get a World Series matchup before the season even starts. How about that? Leading up to opening day. We'll also dig into the NFL draft as the Browns have the second overall pick. I mean, once again, here we are with the Cleveland Browns. All right. And we have questions like, what do they do? Are they going to take a quarter? The Browns / quarterback discussion. It never goes away. It's like Groundhog's Day. It's a nightmare if you're a Browns fan. It's just, when are they going to get a franchise quarterback? Possibly never. I think you have to, to prepare yourself for that being the answer if you're a fan. Will they take a quarterback? I don't know. I mean, there's so many questions. Are they going to trade Myles Garrett? Will Myles Garrett even be a part of the roster, on the day of the draft? I mean, listen, if you paid any attention at all to anything that Myles Garrett has been saying in the news, he's doubling down, tripling down. He wants out of here. He wants out of Cleveland. And I don't blame him. Listen, it doesn't make him a bad guy, right? It doesn't make him disloyal. I think Myles Garrett deserves to be a part of a winner, and I think that's what he wants to do. I don't think he cares about the money. It's not about, procuring being the highest paid defensive end in the league or anything like that for Myles. I think he just wants to be a part of a winner. He wants to go to the Super Bowl, and I think that's perfectly understandable. So then I think you have to ask yourself, what do the Browns do? Will they take a quarterback? Will it be Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward there at 2? Do they take Abdul Carter? I mean, do you try to replace some of the production at the same position? It looks like you're going to lose Myles Garrett. So do you take Abdul Carter there? I think that's tempting. Do you take an offensive lineman? Is there even an offensive lineman that's worth taking in the top 2? Listen, we'll look at that. We'll get into some players. We'll pick a position group each week leading up to the draft, and we'll tear into that, and we'll figure out if there's any possible targets for the Browns that fit, that are going to make a difference, going forward in the future. Obviously, with the second pick in the draft, you don't want to pick for depth there, right? I mean, you want to get an absolute impact starter. I mean, you should get at number 2, you should get an all-pro. I mean, period. You should get someone who makes a difference, who adds 3 to 4 wins, to the schedule, maybe. I don't know, it's hard to do that in football, but we'll answer that and more Browns questions, all the burning Browns questions that there are. Will they ever be good again? Will they ever have a winning season? Will they ever win a playoff game that matters? I mean, they beat the Steelers a couple of years ago, but can they get back to the AFC Championship game? I think if you grew up like me, I mean, the Browns were a mainstay. It was always Browns, Broncos in that AFC Championship game. A lot of heartbreak there, but at least they were there, right? They were on the cusp of the Super Bowl, and there was hope. There was something to look forward to, something to cheer about. It was so much fun. And I think, maybe being a kid, I took that for granted. Then the Browns went away. They came back, and they clearly have not been the same. So we've got all kinds of Browns questions to answer. Like, will they grace us with one more year of Jameis Winston? Please, please. Listen, it's doubtful they'll bring him back, but one never knows. I don't know if you watched him at all leading up to the Super Bowl. No person on earth has more fun than Jameis Winston. There's absolutely no one that has a better time than Jameis. It's fun to hear him having that good of a time on our sideline, right? And preferably in the backfield. But I don't think that's going to be a possibility. I think you'll see someone else. And who will it be if Winston's gone? Who will it be at the starter? If they don't pick somebody and throw them into that role right away, who's it going to be? Will it be, I don't know, is it DTR? Is it Bailey Zappi? Does anybody want to start the season with DTR, Bailey Zappi as the starter? It seems likely that I just don't think it's going to be someone currently on the roster. So who is it? Is it Daniel Jones? They bring in Sam Darnold. Do they have the money? Is Aaron Rodgers a possibility? I've heard his name kicked around. I personally don't think that's a fit at all. Just personality-wise and where the two parties are headed. Well, Rodgers is on his way out. He's ready for retirement. I don't think he wants to come in and try to be the guy that bridges the gap to the Browns' next quarterback. I don't think that's what he's interested in. But then if he doesn't have any other offers, who knows? If he wants to play another year, maybe Cleveland it is. I have no idea. But we will do our best to answer that and so many other burning Browns questions. I don't know why they're burning, but so many other Browns questions for the next couple of weeks. Again, we'll have nothing to talk about, but the NFL draft. We'll preview baseball. We'll get into. I'm sure something will happen in college basketball with the NBA. We can talk about all the trades when Ben's back. We can talk about the Cavs trade. The Cavs are 43-10 right now. They are obviously primed for I think they finished. I think it's pretty obvious they're going to finish as the 1 seed in the East, unless they have a historic collapse, which is possible. We've seen it before. Not from the Cavs, but we've seen teams do that before. But yeah, the Cavs seem poised, to be the number 1 seed in the East. So it's really exciting, right? Post LeBron. I mean, here are the Cavs. They're the best team in basketball right now. Can they compete with teams like the Celtics in the playoffs or, any team out of the West? If they did happen to make it to the finals, can they compete with teams from the West? We'll talk about that and more over the next few weeks. As always, thank you so much for watching the Sports Show with No Name. As I said, I'm going to keep it nice and short today. Enjoy your Valentine's Day this Friday. Happy Valentine's Day to you and your loved ones, whoever you're going to be spending time with. I know my daughter likes to do a daddy-daughter thing on Valentine's. So we'll do that. We'll have a fun little dinner. We'll go out to dinner. And that'll be fun. Thanks for watching the Sports Show with No Name. For Ben Bales, who, again, has abandoned me in my time of need and is slipping. Honestly, we implemented a new employee of the month on the show. There's a voting system, and both employees get to vote. And let me tell you, Ben is slipping now. Ben is absolutely slipping in the employee of the month. Getting up here and doing a show by yourself is, my wife will appreciate this. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. While I'm here, just please comment on this. If you see this on Facebook, if you watch the show, comment on YouTube. I want to hear your interpretation of the saying shooting fish in a barrel, because my wife is one of the smartest people I know. Absolutely one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. We were talking about doing something that was going to be very, very difficult the other day. Okay. And she goes, listen, we can't just, it's like shooting fish, but we can't just come out and like try to shoot fish in a barrel. And I was like, well, why not? Because that would solve like 15 of my problems with one shot, right? The fish are in the barrel. They can't go anywhere. And she's like, no, I'm pretty sure. I think that means it's hard. So I looked up the definition because I wanted to know. I had to make sure I wasn't wrong. Literally, the definition starts for shooting fish in a barrel. It says ridiculously easy, something that is ridiculously easy. So we laughed pretty hard. Oh no, hold on. I got a comment. Who could this be? Who could this be? My wife says you had to go there. I did have to go there. I don't get many chances to take a shot at you without you right in front of me. You could chase me down. You're pretty fast. At least with the door closed to the studio, I think I have a small chance at a little bit of a buffer of time here. So sorry. I love my wife very much. Happy Valentine's Day to you and to everyone out there. Again, thank you so much for watching the Sports Show with No Name. I'm going to go, I don't know. I'm probably grounded now. But we will be back next week. Hopefully Ben Bales will be back. I don't think his appointment will last a week. We'll find out. And that's all I've got for you. We'll just we'll keep going with the baseball previews. We'll talk about the NFL draft a little bit next week, and any other breaking news. We'll remember the last time that Ohio State hired a former Pats assistant as a coordinator. They bolted before they even spent a day on the job. So we'll see if Patricia leaves for somewhere, if Matt Patricia goes somewhere else before he even reports to Columbus as the defensive coordinator. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but it turned out well. They lost Bill O'Brien, got Chip Kelly, won a national title. I think everyone was happy about that. So again, thanks for watching the Sports Show with No Name. If you're up here where I am in Northeast Ohio, please be careful on the roads. It's supposed to get bad pretty soon. Snow and ice again for like the, 800th day in a row this winter. So again, be careful on the road, stay warm out there, and have a happy Valentine's Day. And we'll see you next week on the Sports Show with No Name. Thanks, guys.